Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Corey, better known as the Seaman, and I want to welcome you to another edition of the Seaman's Cinema. Sit down back at the desk for another day of checking out a couple trailers. And coming off of the horror trailers we watched yesterday, a body horror feature with Dave Franco and Allison Brie called Together, and then what seems to be another unnerving type of horror feature from the Philippou Boys called Bring Her Back. If you want to see my reaction to that one, you can see it right up there. This trailer felt appropriate to kind of shift gears towards. It definitely lives in the world of horror, maybe a little bit more action drama-y, but this is a show that after its first season proved not only can you adapt video game content correctly, you can also make changes that can be extremely impactful and almost enhance the story and validate that by having the creator of the video game involved in the show, but also show that you could do that at award-worthy levels. And I am so stoked to see what we get when it comes to season 2, because you could definitely play with that story as far as the way the game is. There's definitely options and things that you could tweak or elaborate or change up to make things more dramatic and more heavy hitting. And when you look at the second video game, everything that game did, it's going to be hard to replicate certain elements of it on TV. So I am fascinated to see what we get when we get into all the things that could be coming with this show. What are we talking about? Why don't you pull up a chair, take a seat. We are getting ready to take a look at the official trailer for The Last of Us Season 2, and one of my favorite t-shirts, Child Protection Services. You've got Pedro as Joel, but he also is Mando, so he's holding baby Grogu. It's a wonderful collab shirt, but I am so excited for Season 2. Season 1 was damn near perfection for me. You're talking about adapting one of my favorite video games of all time in The Last of Us, and the way in which we got that adaptation was just so unbelievably enjoyable to see what Craig Mazin and Neil Druckmann were doing when it came to adapting, came to bringing together like the DLC content as well as the main game, adding things or changing things up to give us one of the greatest episodes of television maybe of all time. It worked so well, and not only did they adapt well, but they recreated direct moments. If you remember when I was doing my reactions to that show, I'd literally pull up the video game side by side, and you'd be like, it's dead on, man. Like right down to the way the car turns and when the car turns. Like so many cool things, and just the type of care and love that I think a fan would want to see. Now, when you get into The Last of Us Part 2, one, they've said that this is definitely going to be at least 2 seasons worth of content, which makes a ton of sense because Game 2 is far bigger than Game 1. But I've also heard rumors that they could maybe stretch it into 3 seasons. And if that's what's going on, there are definitely some elements that I'm not going to hint at or spoil, but things that, if you've played the game, you know kind of happen, and it'll be interesting to see where they position those things in the storytelling and what they add, because I think when it comes to TV, what's working, who you're working with, sometimes changes I think are necessary to continue to keep together the energy and glue that make the show so good. But there's just so many things at play with this part of the game and its story that I'm really excited to see where we land. Obviously, we've got Pedro as Joel, crushed it in season 1. Bella Ramsey, a lot of people wanted to hate on her when she was cast, but I'll tell you what, I am with Mazin and Druckmann. When you just talk about audition and capturing the spirit of the game and that character, I don't care if she doesn't look like Ellie, Bella Ramsey is Ellie. And I think the same can be applied to the new character that will be an added addition here, and we only saw very little bit of Caitlin Devers as Abby, but she's another person who doesn't quite look like Abby. Abby is brolic, and that is certainly an element to her character, or at least the way her character operates. Devers did do some lifting, but not heavy bulking. She's not too much bigger than what we've seen from divas in the past. But again, I'm gonna say if Craig Mazin and Neil Druckmann said she's the person to do the role, it means she is embodying the character correctly. And I'm excited to see if we get any more of her in this trailer, see if we see any setups for her character. I'm also stoked to see what else we'll get for Gabriel Luna's Tommy Miller, who, of course, has a slightly bigger role now that both Pedro and Ellie are at the same location as him and all the people that he's been with going through this zombie apocalypse. And the other thing that I really dig, right? Like, there are going to be those horror elements, but even more so in game 2 than game 1, it's the different factions of people that are more scary and more concerning than it is the zombies. The zombies are going to be in there. You know, they just exist in the world, and I look forward to seeing how Mazin and Druckmann bring those elements in. But this is a story coming into the next at least 2 seasons where it's going to be way more about the people and the threats that the people are creating amongst themselves and having all these different broken factions across the states. And I'm psyched. I'm just really psyched. I love season 1 so much. I can't wait for season 2. I am going to shut up so we can take a deeper look into season 2. What we got in the teaser, I was here for, but I want y'all to show me some more. So let's get the trailer up for you. Ready to rock and roll on my end. So let's take a look at what we're getting with the official trailer for The Last of Us Season 2. Right out the gate, we're going. Let's throw the zombies right out the gate. Some of the most terrifying zombies out there. Fireflies.
You okay?
Yeah.
Also, there's gonna be a time jump going into this season, which makes a ton of sense.
This is where we live. And what's that?
The fence.
What's inside?
Living a good life inside the
People.
fence. Yes!
What's outside?
Monsters. And people. Yo, come on! Dude, we doing good work. Oh, divers.
Monsters.
Yeah, both human and zombie. There's a lot of zombies, though. This April, man. Oh, it's coming so fast.
By the time the sun comes up tomorrow,
Yes, yes, yes.
there's a very good chance you'll be dead.
You're telling me,
You're
man.
gonna lose.
And Joey Pats? I didn't know he was trying to be cast.
Don't you know what he did?
Yeah, that's gotta be a big piece of the story. Ooh, a bloater.
You swore.
Yeah. Okay, cool. April 13th. Oh my gosh, that's so soon. I need to get on the game and just at least play at least the first couple chapters again. Maybe we'll do that later today. Okay, so I think this trailer, even more so than the teaser, is really giving us a good idea of what this season is going to tackle. And it comes right at the end of the trailer there, right? You see it in Ellie's face, like the heartbreak. She's got to find out what Joel did, right? Like when he escapes from the Firefly compound with her at the end of season 1, and tells her, like, there were other people that could create the cure. They didn't actually need you. Everything's fine. We're going to go and meet up with Tommy, right? She, in that moment, doesn't believe him. Ellie definitely feels like something is not right. But she asks him, knowing everything that her and Joel have been through, I'm going to ask you one time, and what you say, if you swear to it, is what I'm going to believe. And Joel swears that what he told her is true. And one of the major elements, I don't think this is a spoiler based on what we've seen in the trailer, Ellie's going to find out that he lied. And what that does to their relationship is one of the things that I'm very excited to see, especially with how Mason and Druckmann play with it. Because in the game, it is a bit of a time jump. You kind of jump to the fact that that already happened. We're at a place where Ellie's already found out about it. There's fallout between her and Joel, and that relationship is already kind of starting to fracture by the time we get into the game. I can very much see the show, while also time jumping, covering more of the things that happened before that moment. And as you go through the game, you do get flashbacks and you kind of see some of those things. But I think you're going to hopefully, and it would be something that I think from an addition standpoint would be great for the show, to dive into not so much the immediate things between Joel and Ellie, but really establishing, especially in those first couple episodes, how strong Joel and Ellie's relationship is post part 1. It's something like, again, it's been a while since I played part 2, which is why I want to replay and kind of refresh myself there. But one of those things where you see those elements. Flashbacks take you to some of the moments that really strengthen their bond as almost a father-daughter. I'm hoping that the show maybe doesn't have to do the flashbacky thing, but can kind of fill in some of those story beats the first few episodes where you really are bringing those two together even more than you did in part 1, so that when she finds out and you see her face like this, it's going to crush you. And that in and of itself is a wonderful tee-up to the things that will come the rest of the way, because that relationship is what makes season 1 work so well, and the strain in that relationship is a major element to part 2's story, and one that I think could create really interesting dynamics and interesting story beats to kind of go down. And like I said, it's one of these where when you have Druckmann involved, things that maybe you want to deep dive into or explore more would make sense in a television show. So I love that this trailer is putting that front and center. Like, you swore, you know, and like her girlfriend, like don't you know what he, or maybe it wasn't her girlfriend, but someone else that one girl that we see in the trailer, like, don't you know what he did? And I think it's such a phenomenal play to kind of give us, like, that's gonna be discussed, and that should be a main element of this season, and is, if you're gonna break the game up into different pieces to do 2 or 3 seasons, something that I hope is the thing that's at the center of this season from a story standpoint. Other things that I'm digging, you're getting some nice action elements, running from zombies, all that stuff is there, but I'm so excited for Caitlin Devers. I really am. I don't want to spoil things, but you're seeing like some of the people that Ellie is here with, like that kid. Obviously, we saw her and her girl at that, like, it's one of my favorite moments in part 2, because there's so little happiness in this world that seeing Ellie, you know, grow up and find a relationship and a connection that she can really connect to, especially with what happened in season 1, the last time she tried to go down one of these routes. I love seeing more of that, and the recreation of this sequence is so spot on. It's so spot on. But the other thing, other than seeing like some of these other factions out in the, like, these guys in the game are horrifying. You always run into them in very green, foresty areas, and there's some really cool transitional elements where you go from the gameplay into, like, you know, like story bits of the animation. A lot of times that animation can differ in the game, and it's like identically the same, and you can go in and out of those clips and gameplay. There's a stretch with these guys, one of my favorite that to play early in the game. But the other shot I want to just briefly talk about here is the shot we get of Miss Devers herself. Look, I guess she's not brolic, but that face says everything I need to know when it comes to Abby and what Devers is tapping into as an actor. No, do I think she looks like the character? I don't think she does. But I felt the same way about Bella Ramsey and Ellie, and that, at least for me, paid off really, really well. And this face, like just seeing that shot of her, got me so excited. The things that are going on with Abby's character, and the type of hate that she carries with her, is all over Deaver's face here. And that's one of those elements that I'll be very interested to see how in which they play with, because it's one of these where the video gaming experience to part 2, it's so different than part 1. And I remember going through the game, getting to the end of it, being blown away and going, I don't even know if you could do that. And that was before we knew Last of Us was coming to TV in any way, shape, or form. But it was one of those where I got to the end of that game and I went, I don't know if you could do that story and have it be as effective as what Druckmann put together in any medium other than a video game. How Abby is utilized in the game and how her story crosses paths with Ellie's, it creates so many different emotional vibes. And I think if you're going to break this thing up into multiple seasons, sparingly, I want to get beats for Abby. I definitely want to see what Deavers is up to. But if you're breaking the game up, I don't want a ton of her. I kind of want, I don't want to spoil anything. So I'm trying to be very careful with my words. But I'd love to almost see a similar approach to things that happened in the game broken out across the different seasons that they're maybe looking to expand the game into. I think 3 seasons for part 2 could be the best route. I definitely think you could achieve part 2 in 2 seasons. But depending on what exactly you're pulling on when it comes to Abby's story and where it intersects with Ellie's, 3 seasons could be the ideal way to go, especially if you're slow playing her. And based on what we've seen in the trailers, we're only getting glimpses of her. And I think seeing that sparingly alongside Ellie and Joel's story could tee up really, really interesting things in season 2 that could then really tee up a wild season 3. And while there are rumors that Druckmann is working on a potential Last of Us Part 3 for Sony and PlayStation, if you don't get to that, you give me 3, I've always said like 4 or 5, maybe 6 seasons if you're really cooking. There are a few shows that get to 6 seasons and succeed in the ways that something like, say, The Sopranos succeeded. 4, sometimes 5 is like where you can start to see things getting a little shaky. And we've seen it with shows like, Game of Thrones, things that have come to us from HBO in the past. And we've also seen the success of shorter seasons working in something like The Wire. So it's one of those where if we don't get a part 3 in the video game world, or Druckmann doesn't get to it until after the show has concluded, if you break part 2 up into 3 seasons, you could end this show in such a spectacular way. I'm hoping that's what's going on here. Like, in my brain, seeing what I'm seeing, like, I'm hoping that what I'm thinking is what's happening. But when it comes to Abby as a character, just this shot alone tells me all I need to know about Caitlin Deavers, and the fact that I think she is tapping into the right things. That was a good trailer. It's a good trailer. I'm pumped to see how this world evolves and expands and where they go in season 2. But from what we're seeing, I am super excited. Question is, what about you? Where do you land in the world of The Last of Us? How much did you love season 1? Did you play the video game? No spoilers, but did you play part 2? And if you played part 2 without spoiling anything, similar to what I just tried to do, what do you see in here that could really be working? Some of the recreated elements, some of the things that they could be doing with as far as storylines go. Do you think Abby is going to be a major player in season 2, or is that something that Druckmann and Mazin kind of hold off on until season 3? And what do you hope they do in those realms? What is looking good? What are you concerned about? If you haven't played the video games and you've only watched season 1, how stoked are you about what's coming? What do you think could be going on here? Anything you got, good, bad, indifferent on the official trailer for The Last of Us Season 2? Put it down below in the comment section. Look forward to talking to you down there. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're new, you want to come hang out with the C-Man anytime. We're talking movies, TV, trailer, reactions. You want to be here in a few weeks when we get ready to start watching and recording and reacting and talking about The Last of Us Season 2. You just want to show a little love and support to the old C-Man. Come join C-Maniac Nation. It's super simple. Jump over there, hit that subscribe button, hit that little bell if you want those alerts, and until next time for the C-Man Cinema, sit down. I've been the C-Man. I'm signing off. Peace! C-Maniac Nation, you look nervous. Is it the scars? Would you like to know where I got them? No? Well, then maybe you'd like to see another video with the C-Man. How about up here or over here? And if you really dig the C-Man, well, then show him a little love. Right over there.